All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 11 of No Final Bell. And if you see, something looks a little different. We changed some of the graphics around. I mean, they still look very similar to the ones that we had, except that now it says follow us on social media. Right hand corner. Please also, make sure to check out Sports Talk every Sunday at 9 a.m.
With this guy.
Yep, you get to see me and Brian. Also, don't forget to watch Out of Turn 4 every Tuesdays at 5. But
If you noticed as well, we are clean shaven, at least for the time being. We are growing out our facial hair to Tinkle on Cancer as part of No Shave November this year.
Yep, make sure
to... If you could please donate to the link in the bio of Tinkle Sports and Entertainment on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Donate to the link in the bio. But also, it should be posted on Facebook, I believe. Either way, check out the link. Donate if you can. Even if it's a small amount, any donation will help.
Yep, I already donated $25, so I'm already donated to the cause. Alright, so, beginning, I kind of wanted to dive deeper into the releases from WWE before we go into Impact and AEW talks.
Those were crazy, man.
Crazy? Crazy amount of people that were released.
Matter of fact, before I do anything, let me pull up the list of releases. So,
top ones definitely were Keith Lee, Karrion Kross.
Yes.
Nia Jax, Ember Moon. Of the top ones, of course, we will let you know who else was part of those.
I know Eva Marie was part of those.
Yes,
releases.
Eva Marie.
Here we go. We got 18 more. Yeah. So, that's not. I know it's somewhere, but it basically boiled down to like Frankie Monet, formerly known as Taya Valkyrie, Keith Lee, which is a big one, and not for nothing, they squandered him on the main roster. The second he went up there, Vince just took one look at him and was like, "Pal, you gotta change."
Yeah. So, if there's anything about a lot of these releases, you see a lot of it, and it's like, well, you just brought back Eva Marie. Like, why bring her back just to only release her? Same thing with Keith Lee. He was such a great talent on NXT. Was a former, and if I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but he was also a former North American and NXT champion at the same time. Karrion Kross had a great run in Impact and so run in NXT, and then just comedic act on the main roster as Vince just kept on changing his character, his look, and then ultimately is like, nope, don't find anything that will work for him. The thing is, you can take the wrestler out of the indies, but you can't take the indies out of the wrestler.
Exactly. So yes, I just got. So this is a good amount of names that were released from the main roster side. We have Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Nia Jax, Eva Marie, Grand Metalik, Lindsay Dorado, Karrion Kross, and Harry Smith. Harry Smith is a big one because some of you may not know Harry Smith by his name, but Davey Boy Smith Jr., that's the name that you need to know just in general. They released him before they could even sign him to a brand.
Insane.
Yeah. And he hadn't even had a match on TV. Literally the last time he had a match in WWE was on a dark match. In a dark match on SmackDown, when they first came back to crowds. That's just baffling to me.
I know.
Just absolutely baffling.
So, I mean, I wanted...
And then, not to cut you off, here's some NXT talent, even though she's technically not on NXT. She just debuted on the main roster, but we have B-Fab of Hit Row, Scarlett, Frankie Monet, Ember Moon, Jessie Kamea. If you don't know her, she was in the Robert Stone brand. Jeet Rama, don't exactly know who he or she is. Trey Baxter, Katrina Cortez, another one that I don't really know. Zeta Ramier, she wasn't around for long, at least I don't. And Oni Lorcan. Yeah. Oni Lorcan, why did they release? But here's the thing. Biff Busick is back, folks. Biff Busick is back, and Biff rules.
Well, I was going to state, of everything that's happened, if you look at it, a lot of the former NXT champions, like of the past, are either out on injury, gone in different brands, or just got released.
Yeah.
Adam Cole.
Yeah, five
Adam Cole,
former
Andrade. And you know what?
Black.
Most of them, look at where they are. They're in the rival company. And, and you see that, and like, they're doing a lot better in the rival company than they were doing in the main company.
Yeah.
That's WWE. And you want to know why? Because one's a sports entertainment company, and the other is a professional wrestling company.
And
big difference.
See, that's the thing, too, and it's becoming all the more apparent. Vince just does not care. Vince has never really cared as of late.
He doesn't care about wrestling.
He doesn't even know...
When is everybody going to understand that he doesn't care about wrestling? He only cares about the comedic act. Yeah. Something that's going to get a cheap laugh here and there. He doesn't care about the wrestling. People, stop paying money for a company that's just going to go down under.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, it's clearly being shown, hence why, literally, it's not even every month. It's literally almost every week there's a set of wrestlers getting released because of budget cuts.
That reason is so stupid because they made record profits this year. They made record profits, and yet they're still going to the whole niche bullshit reason of, oh, it's budget cuts. No, fuck a budget cut. It's not a budget cut at this point. You're just releasing talent because you're fucking petty.
And you know what? Let me tell you something. Let most of that talent go to AEW. Let most of that talent go to Impact. Let most of that talent go to New Japan and ROH. You can't really say that because it's
unfortunately, you can't even say ROH because we need to get into that as well.
Let most of that talent go to NWA. Let's just say that.
NWA, New Japan, MLW even.
Right.
But yeah.
WWE, this is just proving right here that WWE is not the top brand anymore. It's not.
Yeah.
It hasn't been for the last, I'll say 5 years.
Well, okay,
last 5 years, at the most.
Well, I don't know if I would go that far.
Okay, how about this? The last 3 years. For the last 3 years, WWE has not been the top company. Yes, I know, I get it. It's been a while before AEW became that company that everybody wants to go to. I get it. I understand it. It's still not really the top company that everybody likes to watch either. I get that too. But let me tell you something here. It's still a lot better to watch.
Yeah.
It's still a lot more understandable because they actually care about the wrestling. They'll do anything they can to book wrestlers that people want to see booked.
Yeah.
WWE only pushes who they feel like they want to. And right now, I've even told Marty before this podcast, WWE should not be building around just Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. That's literally who they're building around. Yep. They have Brock Lesnar, but you occasionally see him here and there. He's still type of that part-timer.
You can even make the argument that like Randy is kind of being like kind of thrown down the card.
Yeah.
And that's sad because he's a bona fide
who you used to have as one of your top stars. Yeah. If you look at it, 2014, 2015, he was at the top. You see 2021, He's a tag team champion
in
the
a
Raw.
comedy tag team. In a comedy tag team with... Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I like the dynamic of RK Bro. But just the overall, like, entire aspect of RK Bro is a comedy tag team.
Oh, I know.
Why the hell are you putting Randy Orton in a comedy tag team?
Let me tell you something here. Randy, I was watching Raw, even though I'd rather not. But I was watching a little bit of it. Randy Orton acts like he doesn't even want to be in a tag team with
And can you blame
Riddle.
him? Can you blame him at all?
But I feel like he's just doing it because
He wants to collect a paycheck.
He knows if he goes anywhere else, he's not a pro wrestler. He's a sports entertainer. He basically was born and bred in WWE. I mean, I hate to say it. Randy Orton is one of those. Randy Orton is one of those kind of guys that if he was to go to AEW, he would fail.
Randy Orton is a prime example of a WWE homegrown talent.
Oh yeah.
There's not a lot of WWE homegrown talent still left.
I
basically.
agree.
And because you could make the argument: John Cena, homegrown talent; Randy Orton, homegrown talent; Undertaker, homegrown talent, even though he spent a little bit of time in WCW.
I just want to know, how long is it going to take Vince to realize that the name of the game, it's revolving back to being a pro wrestling heavy world we're living in. For a little time there, sports entertainment was what everybody wanted. Now, people don't want sports entertainment. They want wrestling.
Yeah,
wrestling is what is big nowadays, not sports entertainment like it was back in the 90s.
Okay, if you're going to say 90s, definitely before the Attitude Era. Because sports entertainment and WWE was heavy in the 80s.
There's even a... Like, don't get me wrong, the 90s were good. It was really good wrestling and stuff like that. But there was still that sports entertainment aspect.
You cannot
Both
deny.
WCW and WWE, yes, they did care a little bit more about the wrestling because they cared about the ratings.
Because it was an actual ratings war.
But if you look at it, how much of that was also, like, the comedic acts of, you got DX who was comedic acts.
Yeah.
And NWO that was trying to be like basically WCW's version of DX.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm getting at.
Well, actually,
the door is revolving. It's really revolving big time.
Yeah.
People are getting sick and tired of the same thing. That's why when you look at AEW, yes, AEW does have some aspects of doing a lot of the things that a lot of other companies do. But yeah, they have the surprise roll-ups. They have this. They have that. Yes, they have promos, they have some comedic stuff. Don't get me wrong, I understand it. Like, you're going to get it anywhere. But you don't get it all the time.
Right.
You're not getting, like, most of the show is just promos and then you have some wrestling matches. AEW, we said it on this show before, and I'll say it again. AEW is mostly wrestling with a little bit of, interviews and promos and stuff like that.
But that's how you build a story.
Yes. I agree.
I mean, granted, yes, you can build a story in the ring as well, like, in a match.
Mm-hmm.
But the main focal point of telling a story is through interviews and promos.
Yeah, of course.
And obviously, that's how you further build a character, anyways. But
if I was also to say, like, of all those released talents, who could end up being where? Most of them might just end up in AEW. I don't know. I'm not saying like all of them are going to end up there because that would be a little overboard. But guys like Keith Lee could very well be there. Who knows?
Keith Lee could...
Karrion Kross could end up being back in Impact. It probably makes the most sense. He had the best success there.
Killer Kross needs to come back. Absolutely, Killer Kross needs to come back.
Ember Moon, I can honestly really see being on AEW. It makes the most sense.
Athena to AEW, maybe.
Because honestly,
here's the thing.
And I like this discussion, and this is why I say it makes the most sense. You have two world titles. You have two women's titles now.
Yeah.
Now is the time to get as much women wrestlers as you can to go after
Bingo.
both titles.
Not to mention, that helps elevate their division.
Yeah.
So, Athena to AEW.
Makes the most sense.
Yes.
Yes, you have to wait 90 days, which sucks.
I mean, yeah.
But
hey, if you're Scarlett, you only have to wait 30 days.
Yeah, because of NXT.
Yeah.
Maybe NXT is... Actually, that... Oh, wait!
That is the mistake.
Ember Moon technically is part of NXT, so she only has to wait a month.
Well, you don't know, though. You don't know, though, because, she could still have been under, like, a main roster contract while...
I doubt it. I really do doubt it. Okay, I will say this now.
We'll have to see what happens
if it's
with
30
Athena,
days, it's great because then you do that, you can build towards, AEW moving to TBS. But if it's 90 days, you can still technically go there and be like, well, I came here because I saw that there's 2 women's titles here, and one of them's going to be calling my name.
Yeah, I mean, hey, even then, whichever championship you decide to have Athena go after, whether it be the TBS or even the AEW World Women's title.
Don't get me wrong, AEW needs all those top women's wrestlers.
Yes,
Ember Moon was at the top of her game in NXT.
Honestly, I would not even be mad if Taya Valkyrie went to AEW. Granted,
I think she might go back to Impact. I think she'll go back to Impact.
She had a lot of success in Impact and AAA, but honestly, I think if you want to venture to a new company, go to AEW. But at the same time, I feel like she shouldn't because of the fact that not only is her husband in WWE, but WWE and AEW are basically like rival promotions. So it's like it just would be a little awkward to see Taya Valkyrie in a rival promotion, knowing that your husband is in,
No,
and that's another thing too. That's another thing too.
Now,
it's sad that they released Frankie Monet, Taya Valkyrie, knowing full well that her husband is in the company.
That's another discussion I wanted too. How long after seeing that? Because you see, John Morrison.
Yeah.
You see that and they're like,
I was just about to say, how do you think John Morrison feels?
How long will it be before he thinks, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. I came back, maybe I could have been a world champion. I'm not going anywhere.
I absolutely think that he needs to win the world championship in WWE before he ultimately retires anyways.
First off, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It'd be a travesty if it didn't, though.
I know it would be a travesty, but it's not going to happen. And this is why
you can never say never, though.
I know. And the thing is, I want to ask this question. How long before John Morrison's like, you know what, enough's enough. I'm not going anywhere in WWE. I saw my wife getting...
Who's to say they don't release him, though?
I think
more releases are coming, apparently.
I think he's going to be the next one on the list. I already said that... I already was saying, okay, and I'm going to bring this up too. Samoa Joe, who is supposedly out because of injury. I think he's the next one to be released due to injury.
Sad because...
But we did say something, he could be, retiring because of medical reasons. This is where I say I think it's not going to happen. I don't think he's going to retire because of medical reasons. I think he's going to go back to Impact, the company that he had the most success with, and fight for, who knows, the world title or, the X Division title or something like that. I don't know. First off, he doesn't have to travel that much. There. I think that could have been the main reason why he also got hurt, is because he wasn't used to all that, and
entirely possible.
So I can see him.
But also though, notice that also could allude to NXT. He didn't even get injured really once or ever in NXT. And
that's
if
what
he
I'm saying.
I think it was just that one little eye.
I really do think that he's somebody that can't handle a heavy work schedule. That's why I think that him going to Impact would make this most sense. You can still build him up, and then if you're just wanting to go somewhere else, you don't go back to WWE. You go to AEW or somewhere along that line.
And also give him his old theme back, because that was just...
As far as Mia Yim, I think she'll just go wherever her fiance goes at this point. It makes the most sense.
Who's to say, though, that Jade couldn't go back to Impact?
Very well. That's very possible. Who knows?
Who's to say Keith Lee couldn't go to Impact with him?
I was just about to say, and with
that, Impact Wrestling will then bask in the glory.
What it seems like to me is that most of the talent is 50-50 between AEW and Impact. To me,
yeah,
could go either way between that. And honestly, with that talk, I think that's enough with the releases with WWE. Of course, we want to know your feelings on this, everybody. How you feel about this? Do you think
Let
WWE
us know in
is?
The comments.
Do you
Let
think
us even know on social media.
Do you think that WWE is going down under? Because honestly, Marty and I think so, but clearly Vince McMahon's probably sitting back with a nice bottle of Jack. Is like, I don't think so.
How I'm living the dream.
I'm just sitting here making millions of dollars, just watching my company falter.
Yeah. Like I said, pal, I'm living the dream. I don't care about any of these releases. You think I give a damn about their lives? Yeah. Well, regardless, now we transition into Impact Wrestling talk. So, obviously, over that weekend was Bound for Glory. Usually I don't talk much about BTI, but in this instance, BTI was a bit important because BTI ended up showing the finishes of the championship matches, which the championships changed hands. First, we have the Impact World Championship match between Josh Alexander and Kristen Cage. The finish to that match was interesting because Kristen Cage had a bum shoulder. Josh Alexander worked on that shoulder for the entirety of the match, and the finish was Josh Alexander had Kristen Cage in the ankle lock, and Kristen Cage was trying to fight out of it. Josh Alexander stepped on the good hand, so that way Kristen Cage would have to put all the weight on his bad shoulder, and he couldn't do it, so he had to tap. He had no choice. But then you see Josh Alexander celebrating with his wife and his kid. I did not realize, though, that Josh Alexander had his wife and son still in the ring when Moose called his shot. Moose called his shot, hit the spear, 1, 2, 3, bing, bam, boom, new world champion. Then we have the Knockouts Championship match, Deonna Purrazzo and Mickie James. That was a very back-and-forth contest, which ultimately led to Mickie hitting the chick kick and the Mickie DT. And that's how she won. The Inspiration won off of their tag team maneuver. And it was kind of shocking because, they pretty much just waltzed right into Impact Wrestling, and without any sort of rhyme or reason or even any sort of warning, they were just like, oh yeah, we're here, we're going to challenge the Knockout Tag Team titles, and then on their first night in Impact Wrestling, they win the Knockouts Tag Team titles. So, but then we get on to the X Division Championship match, which we were going to crown a new X Division champion anyways. That was the triple threat match between Trey Miguel, El Phantasmo of New Japan, and representing the Bullet Club, and Steve Maclin. Steve Maclin didn't even get pinned. And we'll talk about that as well, because that to come in the Impact tapings. But regardless, I already mentioned how Jordan Grace became the digital media champion. There was quite a bit of madness with that. So, but regardless, Jordan Grace is your digital media champion. And by the way, We have more digital media stuff to get into later on. So that's BTI, and then we get to the BTI match. It was Sam Beal versus VSK, and Sam Beal lost, but it looks to be that Sam Beal has aligned himself with Rich Swann and Willie Mack, which is a bit of an interesting one. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Then we get into the actual tapings of the... So Eddie Edwards... So Moose was about to speak on the microphone before Eddie Edwards beat him down. Eddie Edwards wants some revenge for everything that Moose has done to his wife and himself. So he came down to beat up Moose. Next up, we have Josh Alexander coming out to beat up Moose, and not for nothing, Josh Alexander is a man on a mission. He wants that world title back, and he will go through any means necessary to get it back. It was stripped of him. But here's the shocker. The King, Minoru Suzuki, has arrived in the Impact Zone. And he even went blow to blow with Josh Alexander. So, what does that mean? We'll have to find out later on in the show. They do make something later on. Then we have, Moose is just a target now. Now that he has the Impact World Championship, he is a target. And Matt Cardona and Moose ended up coming to blows in the backstage area. Next up, we get into our first official match on Impact Wrestling of Trey Miguel in his first title defense since winning the X Division Championship. Goes up against Rocky Romero of New Japan, and he beats Rocky Romero. But it's not after Steve Maclin comes down to beat him up and basically says, "You didn't pin me. I want your X Division Championship. You never pinned me. I want to go one-on-one. And I'm still undefeated around here." So, yes. Back to the whole Minoru Suzuki, Matt Cardona, Josh Alexander. So, next week it has been announced Matt Cardona, Eddie Edwards, and Josh Alexander will take on Moose and two partners of his choosing. Those two partners end up being W. Morrissey and Minoru Suzuki.
Crazy.
So, that is that. Next up, we have a match between Rachel Ellering and Tasha Steelz, which Rachel Ellering wins. So, with that, W. Morrissey is the first man to challenge for the world title after helping Moose against Eddie Edwards, Josh Alexander, and Matt Cardona. Because Moose ended up telling W. Morrissey, like, hey, if you help me out with these guys, you're going to be the first in line. So now, W. Morrissey is the first in line because he is helping Moose. And now, the Inspiration have arrived in Impact to inspire the Knockouts division. We'll have to see what that means, but regardless, then we get a match that ends in a no contest between Heath and Joe Doring. But the one thing to note from that whole exchange, because it basically turned into a no disqualification, Rhino was in the ring, taking down all these members of BBD, and then Eric Young started to gain some, it almost seemed like Eric Young was getting into the head of Rhino, because he's still in his head, in a way. And Rhino was just like, kind of, okay, you still have some sort of control, but,
Right.
But, regardless, Eric Young ends up getting back into the ring. He is healthy. Because if you remember, a few months back in James Storm's, I believe, 1000th career match in Impact Wrestling.
He got hurt.
He got hurt. Now Eric Young is healthy. So, and then we get to a segment with Finjuice and the Good Brothers. And Finjuice made a good point of the Good Brothers haven't really ever beaten Finjuice on their own. So, We might have to see if that changes. But the one thing I forgot to mention about Bound for Glory is all of the surprise entrants in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. One of which being the Demon. And if you don't know who the Demon is, he's basically somebody who looks a lot like Gene Simmons from Kiss. But he has said that he is back in Impact because demons are welcome. And by that, he's talking about Decay.
Mm-hmm.
So, then we get to a segment between Madison Rayne and Mickie James where basically Madison Rayne wants a match against Mickie James. And next week, she will get it for the Knockout Championship. And again, we go back to Moose and W. Morrissey. So yes, Minoru Suzuki did accept the invite of Moose that Moose saw Moose saw Minoru Suzuki backstage and was like, Minoru Suzuki, sir, with all due respect, and please, would you be my last partner? And Minoru Suzuki kind of looked at him and grinned. So it basically alluded that Minoru Suzuki is in. Then we have a lot of these, then we have the card for next week, or some of these, so next week we have a Fatal 4-Way number 1 contenders match for the X Division Championship between Rohit Raju, Steve Macklin, Laredo Kid, and Black Taurus. Then also we have, so I mentioned the Digital Media Championship earlier. They will actually have a number 1 contenders match for the Digital Media Championship on Impact Plus. That happened on Tuesday as John Schuyler is going to take on Chelsea Green. And then we get to the main event of Ace Austin and Chris Sabin. Ace Austin beats Chris Sabin.
Couldn't have said it better myself for all that Impact talk. But we are going to shift to AEW talk. I'm sure CM Punk's name is probably going to get mentioned quite a bit, but it's definitely going to be more than once. And the last part of it will be a little bit shocking because I was quite shocked about it. But it starts off with CM Punk and Bobby Fish facing off for the first time. I don't know ever, but at least the first time in a while in AEW. CM Punk ends up beating Bobby Fish. Ends up staying undefeated, 5-0.
Pretty impressive and pretty crazy that CM Punk is
undefeated
5-0 in AEW.
And honestly, I mean, he's been looking good, but there's a few times where he's looked a little sluggish. Just like when the windpipes aren't going as well as they used to be when.
Well, you have to take into consideration as well. He is also 42 years old, so
right. True.
That doesn't help a lot. But at the same time, there really isn't much ring rust with CM Punk.
No, not at all. He's not really showing it. Then there was a little shot of Malachi from the week prior where he was all bloodied up.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he's not done with the Nightmare Family after that. I don't know if he's going to end up going up against Cody for the 4th time. God, I would hope not, because
I don't know why they're continuing Malachi in the Nightmare Family, honestly. But it is what it is.
I don't know if
who else in the Nightmare Family or even the Nightmare Factory could you have? Because I'm pretty sure Lee Johnson is part of the Nightmare Family. I know
he already beat everybody. He beat Cody.
Yeah.
Twice. He beat Dustin already. Lee Johnson.
I know at one point the Gun Club was part of the Nightmare Family, but now that they're basically healed, they're not really part of the Nightmare Family anymore. At least I wouldn't think. But
what I would assume is it might lead to another match against Cody, and And if it does,
I don't know how I feel about it.
I think it's gonna tease a Cody heel turn.
They better capitalize on a Cody heel turn, man, because
I don't believe for a second that Cody says that he's not gonna turn heel because
you have to.
He'd rather be a babyface because it just feels natural to him. I don't believe it for a second.
It doesn't feel natural.
That
no.
is the biggest bullshit thing I've ever heard. I think it might be a thing where Malachi beats him, where he'll have 3-1, and then Cody's like, you know what, you guys were never behind me from the beginning. I don't need you fans. And then just ends up getting super booed. This is what you wanted all along, right? To boo me, right? Well, guess what? You type of thing, and then basically walk out. I think it's gonna lead to maybe a final match up between both of them, where Cody will finally turn heel, and I think it's best for his character and it's best for him for his future in AEW, especially if he wants to continue being a wrestler. But the thing is, with how professional wrestling is nowadays, if he was to turn heel, will he finally get cheered? I mean, that's what the fans want. The fans want him to be heel. So, in the crazy real world of pro wrestling, if he turns heel, does he finally be like, get fans like, finally, this is what we wanted from you. Why were you so hesitant on it? Like, I know he hasn't been that good of a heel. He's probably been better of a babyface in WWE. But you know what? If you look at WWE, look at all of his runs.
Yeah.
They were basically all heels.
I mean,
with Randy Orton.
Dashing Cody Rhodes is a perfect example of a heel, Cody Rhodes. So.
And then when he was playing as a babyface as Stardust.
Well, Stardust kind of started out as a heel, and then he kind of just morphed into a face.
It didn't work. It didn't work out for him at all. It really didn't. It was cool that he teamed up with his. It was cool that he teamed.
Gimmick of
it was
Stardust,
cool, right?
But
It was cool that he got to team with his brother. Don't get me wrong.
You can still team with your brother. Cody.
But apparently Malachi is not done. But
honestly, if Cody started teaming with Dustin, I don't even know how much the crowd would get behind that, to tell you the truth, because the crowd loves Dustin, but for whatever reason, the crowd hates Cody.
I just don't understand it. I really don't. Continuing on, MGF just basically destroys local talent. Yep. And then he tricks the people thinking Sting is coming out. He's on the ground laughing. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe you fell for that, as the lights go off. Then he's like, oh, real funny, Spears. Buddy, that wasn't me. I'm right here. And then lights go on. Sting is behind him. Actually, yeah, Sting is there. And then there was a little thing where it was a fake MGF. And then out of nowhere, Darby Allin comes in and catapults him with, drop kick. And then in the crowd, who pulls down the thing, takes,
Darby's back.
Darby is finally back. I called it. I told you guys the last episode that it would make the most sense to have Darby come back the next week or sometime before the pay-per-view. He finally comes back that week to build up more of the match. And you know what he also wants? MGF. Full Gear. He wants a match of Full Gear, and then he's going to definitely get it. As MGF basically says, you want a match? You got it. Up on the stage. So, at Full Gear, it will be Darby Allin versus MGF. Finally, we get to see those two go up against each other in AEW. I'm definitely ready to see it. MGF is a great talker and also a great performer in the ring. Darby just brings it it's going to be a glorified, really good match, I think, between MJF and Darby.
Definitely.
Going forward, Sammy Guevara beats Ethan Page.
Yep.
Then Scorpio Sky comes out to beat down on Sammy, which leads to the Inner Circle coming out to save Sammy. They will be in the Minneapolis Street Fight. Who do we think will win? Inner Circle. I really do think it's going to be the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
Yes, the Inner Circle will be there. And who did they get to choose as the 3 people? Well,
we don't have it written down, but it is Andre Arlovsky,
Junior Dos Santos, and Dan Lambert.
And
I called
Dan
it.
Lambert, yes.
I called it. I told you guys. Oh, it makes the most sense to have Dan Lambert being one of the 3. And you know what? When I saw it, I'm like, I knew it.
That fat-faced dipshit is going to get into the ring.
No, he's not. He's going to let all of his big dogs do all the fighting for him.
Just wait until he gets tagged in.
And you know what is going to happen when he gets tagged in? Then Chris Jericho's going to get tagged in. Chris Jericho's
going to beat the hell out of that fat-faced dipshit.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm a fat-faced dipshit. Yeah.
Of course, this next one we'll talk about here and also on Rampage, which leads into something else. And you won't... I think it's crazy, everything that happened. You know, Eddie Kingston says to Bryan Danielson, walk a mile in my shoes before you say you have worked hard. Basically means, like, I've battled depression. You know, that depression leads to anger. I take pills so I don't end up being, hurting somebody type of thing. I don't know what's been going up with Eddie, but I feel like he has almost as much of the problem as Jon Moxley. Of course, our prayers to Jon Moxley as he is in rehab for his alcoholism. I'm glad he finally did the right thing to better his health.
Hey, he's got to do it for his daughter, man.
We wish you all the best. Please come back for your daughter. Your daughter needs her daddy.
And definitely, Mox, take as much time as you need to get yourself out of that, like, just
dark
bad
hole.
habit. Yeah.
Dark hole.
Dark hole, bad
and the
habit.
depression that you're in.
Yeah.
But Bryan says, I've been there before, too.
Yeah, he has.
So has most of this locker room. And he's probably right. Most of that locker room were formerly released superstars who came to AEW.
But even then,
you
Bryan
don't know.
Danielson,
a lot of that could have led to depression. And they were probably depressed for those few months, like, where the hell am I going to go for work? Or what am I going to do for this time being? What am I going to do for money?
Well, but even then, Bryan Danielson has battled depression. Like, when he grew out his hair and, like, grew out his beard, he grew into a depressive state. Like, basically, his entire Planet's Champion WWE Championship run, like, he was depressed. And it's like, obviously the, like, ignorant question gets asked of, like, well, why would you be depressed if you're having the time of your life as a WWE champion? You can still get depressed even though you're having the time of your life. Because
he was in a place where it was just fun anymore.
Yeah.
For him.
I mean, I'm sure he was still having fun with the Planet's Champion, like, Rayne, but even, like, he... that's another thing.
It was a place where he had to basically do or say what Vince wanted him to, and couldn't.
That's what I was gonna get into. That's another thing. WWE makes you lose your passion for pro wrestling, and it's sad.
It really is.
Look at what happened to EC3. Like, EC3, when he was in the company, he even stated in interviews, he's like, dude, I lost my passion for pro wrestling when I was in WWE.
Right.
So, and even then, it's like, it probably took a drain on his mental health. And even then, granted, I haven't seen the interview, but in his latest interview with Chris Van Vliet, he even said, like, mental health is important, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mental health is important.
It is.
in professional wrestling, but even just in your daily life. Mental health is important. So
Please, for anybody that's out, or we want to make this publicly known that we take mental health seriously. If you are dealing with it, please let somebody know.
Yeah,
because sometimes when you talk to somebody, it really does help.
Yeah, I mean, it
please,
doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be verbal communication. Like, it could be a text. Like, there are literally like text hotline or like whatever that, like, if you don't feel like talking to somebody like over the phone on like the suicide prevention hotline or whatever, there are hotlines that you can text that will, you can like literally text a lifeline to be like, okay, well, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling down? Are you feeling depressed?
Right.
Like, hey, don't worry, it gets better from here, or like whatever. So they people will help you if you speak up.
Right.
And together we will smash the stigma. Together we can help normalize talking about mental health.
Yes.
Because it needs to be talked about more.
It does. It really does. Going forward, Lucha Brothers will put the AEW Tag Team titles on the line against FTR at Full Gear. But apparently no AAA Tag Team titles. But apparently I think FTR are supposed to...
Not that we know of.
Yes, not that we know of. But...
they could They could throw a curveball at us.
But they are putting together an open challenge, and there will be... The cool thing is, the formerly known Kalisto and another
Samurai
partner
del Sol
are going to be going up against FTR for the AAA Tag Team titles. What I'm thinking is that they're going to probably just lose them to, those guys, because it makes sense. They're not luchadors. But as far as who we think will win, who do you think will win between the Lucha Brothers and FTR?
Lucha Brothers, definitely. I mean, it would be cool to see the FTR get another reign.
Right.
But
I think
honestly,
I think it's going to be the Lucha Brothers as well, too.
I just don't think it would make a lot of sense to have FTR be AEW Tag Team
But don't be shocked.
But, I mean,
don't be shocked with everything that's gone on with them winning the AAA Tag Team titles. That it could lead to them being the AEW World Tag Team title champs, and then Lucha Brothers then somehow focus a little bit more on the AAA aspect of things and take some time away from AEW to focus a little bit more on Mexico. Not saying that they will be truly gone, but they'll try to focus a little bit more of being in AAA.
I mean, honestly, even if they were to go to Mexico to just start working more with AAA, it would be actually kind of cool. And even then, I would, granted, I don't have the platform or whatever to view AAA, but even then, I would still want to find a way to watch any match that FTR is involved in, with AAA.
Right. Of course. So going forward, Hikaru Shida beats Serena Deeb to move on in the TBS Championship.
Are we
tournament.
Kind of surprised?
Not really. I mean, I feel like they just did it because they wanted to give her 50th win.
Yeah.
So she does get her 50th win, and then Serena Deeb beats her down after the match, and the refs had to pull them apart.
Yeah.
So, truly, I think it's going to lead to a match at Full Gear in some way, shape, or form between Serena Deeb and... But what I would like to see as a stipulation, whoever wins gets to basically be part of the... I know there's still that tournament going on, and there's still other matches that have to be done. But what I would like to see as a stipulation is whoever wins gets to basically take the other's spot. So if Serena Deeb somehow goes in there and beats Hikaru Shida, she takes Hikaru Shida out of the tournament type of thing. So I would like to have a stipulation type of match between both of them, which would make the most sense. But then again, it might just end up still being Hikaru Shida who beats Serena Deeb. So
we'll just have to see what happens.
But they definitely have beef with each other, and I think it's definitely leading to a rivalry that's going to lead to probably Full Gear. This is a little comedic thing I kind of found a little funny. Tony Schiavone ended up saying that this Friday on Elevation instead of Monday on Elevation.
Yeah.
Where he meant to say, oh, actually no, he said this Friday on Elevation where he meant to say on Rampage. Our thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Bro, I know you're not on Elevation. You're not anywhere part of it. Actually, no, yes you are. Tony Schiavone is part of Elevation.
He's the lead commentator for Elevation.
You should know when it debuts. You should see when it debuts on YouTube.
That's
Tony.
Definitely going to be on Botchamania.
It's every Monday, not Friday. Friday's Rampage on TNT until it moves.
You work for AEW. You should know when what the schedule for tapings are.
I know it's unscripted, Tony, but come on now. Get your crap together.
Yeah, that was something that I had to laugh at and even go back and be like, did I hear that right? So, but yeah, he definitely said this Friday on Elevation. It's like, wait, what?
No, yeah, you meant Rampage, right?
And even
yeah, sure I did.
And even I don't even remember who he was interviewing, but even then he was like, yeah, this Friday on Rampage, I will show. And I think Tony Schiavone even looked at it, he's like, ah, shit.
Yeah, it was definitely meant for him afterwards. Like, he's probably thinking in his head, like, what? So, moving forward, this was a match in the AEW World Title Eliminator, which is crazy to think about, but Moxley goes in there, just beats down on 10. That's basically it. I mean, he moves on. But the thing is, I don't know who... of course, AEW Dynamite already happened. Rampage, as we are recording on a Friday night, is currently happening right now. We're not watching it. So we don't know who if Orange Cassidy actually did go up against Moxley or if he went up against somebody else. I would assume that he went up against somebody else that replaced Jon Moxley. But as far as that, going forward, Cody Rhodes says he could never turn no matter if he gets booed or cheered, but gets met by Andrade and Malachi in the ring as they beat down on Cody and Arn. And then Pac comes out, which I found a little bit interesting. I know Pac and Andrade had their whole thing, and Malachi and Cody had their own thing. Here's the thing. You don't possibly have to just have Cody, go up against Malachi and then Andrade go up against Pac. How about heading into like a match at Full Gear, you have the team of Pac and Cody go up against Andrade and Malachi. Make for a good, decent match. Probably good, 10, 15 minute, match for the pay-per-view itself. So, there's that, but as far as Cody saying he can change no matter what, I like I said before, I'm going to say it again, I find it bullshit. Deep down inside that you it's probably in the plans to change, that you're going to probably turn heel. You're just finding the right moment to do it. But then again, who the hell knows? Cody is going to do whatever Cody wants at this point. Then going forward, Dark Order win against the Elite with the help from Hangman Adam Page, which I found interesting. They got that big old upset on the Elite.
He dressed up as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He outsmarted the Elite, which is something I never thought I would ever say. And even then, I didn't think I would ever see the day that the Elite got outsmarted. But they did.
So,
which, by the way, can we just take a second and compliment the Elite on their really cool Ghostbusters?
Yeah, that was awesome.
And also, they did the Ninja Turtles thing.
Yeah.
But hey, either way, that was a really cool. Those are really cool attires.
All right, so like I was saying about Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston, well, they still has some interesting stuff. Bryan Danielson beats Eddie Kingston to move on in the World Title Eliminator Tournament. But let me tell you something. If you were watching that match, you would think that was not, like, any kind of faking. No. Bryan Danielson was throwing in some haymakers. Yes, I get it. Eddie was just slapping the living crap out of his chest. But they were freaking playing stiff almost the whole entire match.
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson acted like he was pissed off at Eddie about something. And he's just...
Yeah, he was elbowing him in the back of the neck.
For real.
Eddie Kingston tried to cover up as much as he could, but
I hate to say it, there ain't no faking that. That was real shots. And if I'm Eddie Kingston, I would be fucking pissed too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I get it. You're pissed off, you're storming, but you go up and apparently have some real heat with CM Punk for whatever reason. What the hell does CM Punk have to do about you getting stiffed by Bryan Danielson?
Yeah,
Shouldn't you try to go after Bryan Danielson and be like, hey man, what the fuck was that for?
Right.
Why were you giving me stiff shots to the back of my head?
But even then, yeah, CM Punk was even showing distaste and displeasure because he looked at Eddie Kingston and he was like, real stupid of you to interrupt my interview time, you disrespectful piece of shit. So
yeah,
and even after Eddie Kingston started storming off, CM Punk was like unprofessional.
Yeah.
So
I mean, don't get me wrong, CM Punk is one.
I kind of think that was a shoot.
It was definitely a shoot. There was no working that at all. That was a shoot because
some people might even argue, oh, it was a work shoot. I don't even think it was a work shoot.
I don't think so at all because if that was a work shoot, then why didn't he go after Bryan Danielson after shots like that? That would have made more sense. No, that right there was definitely a real life shoot.
Yeah.
Like a real life shoot. Of course, I will say this now. I think CM Punk found his opponent.
Yeah.
Heading into the next pay-per-view, it's not Eddie Kingston.
That's how you build a story right there. You take a shoot and make it into an angle.
And that's what's going to make it a freaking great match. And I really do think that they got to have a no-rules type of style match between both of them. Let them just...
have it even be lights out so that it doesn't affect their record.
Let them go after each other.
Yeah.
Let them bring down the fucking house. Have it like a 30-minute time limit and let them just go at each other.
Even if you got to make it like
Even if it means that CM Punk literally has to lay some actual MMA hits and use up his actual knee to bust him open with a GTS. Don't fuck with that. If there's anything, don't fuck with CM Punk.
Yeah.
He's actually MMA trained. To my knowledge, Eddie Kingston is not.
No, not that I know of.
Eddie Kingston, you might have fucked with the wrong person.
You might have fucked with the wrong people.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure, Bryan Danielson has a lot of submission training, but I even think he might have some semblance of MMA training as well. Because those elbows that he was throwing, they looked like ask Steve-O how those elbows to the back of the neck feel. Because he got some of those from Umaga back when he showed up on Raw. And he even said in his YouTube video when he was reacting to it, he's like, those are MMA elbows. Those are not even so.
Right. Yeah.
And if you looked at the elbows that Bryan Danielson, those are the same kind of MMA elbows.
Those are MMA elbows.
Umaga
if he was just doing it, he would have Oh,
he would have absolutely But
no, he was
literally in a way driving the point of the elbow into so.
That's why I say it. If I'm Eddie, I would be pissed too. But going after CM Punk was very unprofessional. Because he was having an interview at the time. I get it. He was the only one that was there, but you heard him swearing in the back. Yeah. I would be pissed too. I would go on to Tony and what kind of bullshit was that?
Yeah. I mean, but then again, that even going up to Tony is very unprofessional. If you're gonna go up to Tony about anything, keep your cool, keep your calm.
That's why it would have made the most. That's why it would have been the most.
But at the same time, I would have gone up to him and just been like, "What the hell, man?" So,
you're just gonna let me get basically stiffed by my opponent like that, and have me lose that way. Like, I really do feel bad for Eddie. He works his ass off. He has been working his ass off in AEW, and I just feel like he's getting the short end of the stick at this point.
And it's sad too because like I feel like Eddie Kingston gets a lot of heat just in general for like the kind of person that he is, and it's like that's just that tough New Yorker like attitude of Eddie Kingston. It's like you got to get past that.
I mean, look at Santana and Ortiz. They're New Yorkers. I mean,
like they kind of grew up in the same kind of sense that like Eddie Kingston did, and like, but at the same time, it's like they understand the wrestling business. It's like you got to give respect to earn respect. So, and like Eddie Kingston, it's kind of tough to like, not that I can't like get behind him. It's like I can definitely.
You know what this kind of reminds me of between like a CM Punk and Eddie Kingston and whatnot. It kind of reminds me of like Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. You remember when there was that real life?
Absolutely. Yes.
Let me tell you something. Heading into that Ultimate Deletion match, Matt Hardy had severe heat on Sammy after he got that chair thrown at his freaking head like that.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy was pissed. He was wanting to end Sammy Guevara's
though, but even then, like
he wanted to basically end Sammy Guevara's life.
Yeah.
In that match. Like, if you were watching the whole time, like, Sammy Guevara just like was getting an ass whooping, and Matt Hardy was loving it every minute of it. But he also like Damir got seriously hurt because of Sammy and what he did with everything, and the way that he got like power bombed basically on the edge of the table and really hard landing type of thing. In that match.
He fell off the what you call it, and
the forklift, right?
Yes. No, it wasn't a forklift. It was a scissor lift. But either way, he fell off. Now, granted, the table wasn't even set up in the right place, but even then, he smacked his head on the concrete, knocked him out cold. So,
but got up like it was nothing because Matt Hardy is one tough SOB.
Here's the problem though with that is they let the match continue. They should have called off the match after Matt Hardy hit his head.
So don't get me wrong. I can see I'm bringing up Jim Cornette's name a little bit. I can see where he met because he was also the one that said that I don't understand why they continued the match with Archer and Kingston. That one that should have been called off too. So I can see where he's getting at with AEW.
He knows what he's talking about with that.
I will agree with that, and that's probably the only time I will really agree with him because I agree to kind of disagree with a lot of what he says right now. But I'll agree that in that instance it should have been called off. But I guess going forward, the main event, which I can see why people were leaving for it because, if anything, there was better matches that could have been the main event of the night. Like, you could have had Bryan Danielson go up against, Eddie Kingston for the main event.
You could have had that as the main. Yeah, I don't see why you had to have Abaddon versus Britt Baker in that trick or treat match as the main event. Like
nobody wants to see that,
especially for the finish.
And everybody leaving. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's like big time, like kind of like shitting on the women's division, and I understand that. But like everybody at that point saw that match. They're like, they already know who's gonna win. Come on now.
Yeah.
It's definitely it's not gonna be Abaddon. It's gonna be Britt Baker. She's the champion. She's on a great run. It's Rampage. Everybody just wants to go home, and you just have her roll up Abaddon for the win. It's just like, come on now, AEW. You just like you could have done something better you could have done a better main event. But I will say, as of late, Rampage seems like it's getting a little bit better with matches wise. Because at first it was like one good match and then like eh. Yeah. Now it's kind of like getting a little bit better where it's a lot more manageable to watch type of thing for an hour.
Yeah.
But if you really want Rampage to go strong going forward, I think you need to have 3 or 4 solid good matches.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But I will say it's a good way to, move into the future and stuff like that. I mean, at least they're doing it right than other places are.
AEW knows how to build towards the future as opposed to WWE.
But if I want to say anything,
WWE's future looks to be
a
crumbling.
CM Punk Eddie Kingston match is going to be lights down. One of the better matches, I think, of Full Gear if it happens. Because that's going to be like a real life heat of them going after each other, and CM Punk will be pissed because he interrupted his interview time. Eddie Kingston's pissed because of how really, he got beaten down by Bryan Danielson, and they're just going to go after each other. It's going to be making for good matches. I think Full Gear is turning out to be a really good pay-per-view, and one I'm definitely going to watch. I mean, probably a day later after the fact, I'm probably going to watch it on the 14th Sunday instead of the 13th on that Saturday. But, again, who knows? But I'm definitely happy with what's going on, but, you look at WWE and when is enough going to be enough? At this point, it's going to get to that point where, like, all those guys that were even getting shots, like, who knows? I'm going to make some other predictions of who I could see getting fired. Kevin Owens? I know he's still
I don't know if he would get fired or released. More or less, they might just have him ride out his contract.
I think he's definitely somebody that's going to ride out his contract and then probably go to... Oh, this is tough. He did really well in
I think he's going to go to AEW and reunite Mount Rushmore. Because he's been teasing it a lot for Mount Rushmore. And even the Young Bucks.
Who was he teamed with?
When he was in Mount Rushmore, it was Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, and Owens, and Kevin Steen. So then
he could probably join up with the Elite or something like that.
Potentially, but even then, the Young Bucks just made their new bio, MROW, which is an acronym for Mount Rushmore of Wrestling. So it's becoming all the more likely that, like, Kevin Owens really does not want to stick around with WWE, and who can blame him, especially with these recent.
And apparently he in his promo with WWE,
he said it could be 3 months later or 3 years later, but either way, when I'm here on Monday Night Raw, you're gonna get the absolute best out of me. So.
You know what? And I respect that. At least he knows he's still gonna work even though he knows he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah. Which, hey.
And that's what you gotta do. You want
respect.
You still wanna be showing why
why
you might be one of the top free agents when your contract does.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing too. I didn't even know about this until recently. Kyle O'Reilly's contract may be coming to an end soon.
I think he's gonna
by next month.
I hate to say, I really do think that he's gonna go to AEW, and I think he's gonna team back up with Bobby Fish.
Please give us Red Dragon versus FTR. It needs to happen.
I think so.
It needs to happen.
Honestly,
Kyle O'Reilly needs to rejoin Bobby Fish as a tag team, and like I said, Red Dragon.
It would be very beneficial for the tag team division too.
Well, just look at the success that Red Dragon has even had. IWGP Tag Team Champions, Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions.
Future AEW World
Future
Tag Team.
AEW Tag Team Champions. Hell, maybe even, depending on how long FTR holds the AAA Tag Team titles, who knows? Maybe even future AAA Tag Team Champions in Red Dragon.
Right, exactly.
But
so, I mean, Who else? It's tough.
I know Sami Zayn's contract is even slated.
I think.
Who knows? Maybe Sami Zayn will don the mask once again, and El Generico will come out of his hiatus.
I don't know if he would. He's somebody that could end up being like on like an Impact type of thing. I just don't think that like him being in AEW's would work. Not saying that he's not a bad professional wrestler. It's just like I just don't think that like it would work in the sense of AEW type of thing. So.
Well, that's the thing too. Is AEW is very stacked with their roster anyways, and even then they've got like an influx of talent that they kind of have like, they kind of have to like throw to the wayside in a sense, because like there's so much star talent that AEW has, and even then it's like some of them have to be relegated to dark, some of them have to be relegated to dark elevation, some of them can't even make a Dynamite or a Rampage because of putting time for a lot of these other stars. So it's like, your homegrown talent kind of has to get like thrown to the wayside to make time for a lot of these new signings that are coming in, because it's like you want to build up the new signings as much as you can, but at the same time then the homegrown talent kind of gets thrown to the wayside, and it's like, they don't get TV time at all. So it sucks for them, but at the same time, it's like, AEW is in a tough situation right now with all these signings anyways, because it's like, Tony Khan just scoops up this talent, and then it's like, well, shit, we have all this talent, now we have nothing to do with them. We can't feature them on TV every week. So,
I know. I mean, he can try his best, but in that sense, I think we're going to end this episode here. Please don't forget to follow us on social media. It's down below. Follow us on social media at Tinkle Sports. Don't forget to watch Sports Talk every Sunday at 9 a.m. Don't forget to watch No Final Bell. Don't forget to watch Out of Turn 4 every Tuesday at 5 p.m. As those are our three main podcasts on this channel. We are all, Tinkle Sports Talk is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any podcast you can see. We are on Anchor, so don't forget to check there. Also, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Turn on the bell notifications, like, comment, subscribe. So turn on the bell notifications because you will be notified for every time we post a video. And as far as that, this ends this episode. These graphics will stay the same. We will not change them going forward. And who knows? Maybe next episode we'll talk about another so-called many wrestlers that have gotten released from WWE again.
Who knows?
Who knows? As far as that, we are signing off.